Are you looking into or planning to move your family to St. Louis, Missouri? Well, stick around because I'm going to show you the pros and cons of living in St. Louis, Missouri as a family. My name is Kevin Dewey. I'm a realtor here in St. Louis, and I specialize in helping families like yours relocate from around the country to move right here in town to St. Louis. And so if that's you and you're looking for the perfect neighborhood, the perfect house for your family's needs, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, send me a DM, however you want to get a hold of me. I'll put all the different ways that you can get in touch with me in the description of this video, and reach out, and so we can start that conversation so I can learn more about you and your family and all the needs that you guys have when you're looking to move here to St. Louis. One of the biggest pros as a family living in St. Louis is that there's a ton of free family activities that you can do right here in town. One of probably the most talked about things that's free and attractions for families is our zoo. The St. Louis Zoo is world class. It's literally one of the top zoos in the nation, in the world, and it is completely free to get in. And so once you get in this zoo, you're going to be blown away by the fact that you don't have to pay $1 to get in. The only thing you have to pay for is maybe parking if you want to park in the parking lot, but there's also plenty of free parking on the street. And let me tell you, they've done a ton of different renovations and added new features, new attractions, new animal exhibits over the past few years, and my family loves going to the zoo. So I've got 3 boys who are all kind of teenagers, 18, 15, and 14 right now, and then I've got a little girl who is 7. And so when my boys were younger, we used to take them to the zoo all the time, and now we're taking our younger daughter to the zoo, and they just absolutely love it. One of my favorite exhibits is the sea lion exhibit there, where it's like you go through a tunnel and like the sea lions, basically they're swimming all around you. You feel like you're in the aquarium. It is really cool. And then the polar bear feature is another really family and just like everybody's, one of the favorite exhibits there. We've got the penguins. I mean, it's really cool. I'm not going to go through everything the zoo has to offer, but it's definitely one of the biggest perks as far as a free activity to do as a family. Another free activity is our science center. We have a science center that's actually kind of near the zoo. It's all kind of a part of Forest Park. And the science center is awesome for families too. It's obviously educational for the kids, but it's also super fun. A lot of fun activities for the kids to do there at the science center. It's just a great, fun weekend activity that's, again, completely free. Another free activity is Grant's Farm. Grant's Farm is actually a farm that is owned by the Anheuser-Busch family, from the Budweiser breweries, Bud Light, all that kind of stuff. That family is located here in St. Louis, and they own Grant's Farm, and it's a completely free attraction. You do have to pay for parking. There's a parking lot right across the street from the entrance. It's almost like a little mini zoo. There's different activities kids can pet the goats and feed the goats and stuff. It costs additional things to for your goat food and that kind of stuff if your kids do want to feed the goats. But it's super inexpensive, and again, admission is free, and it's just a really fun, cool activity to do as a family. And I can't leave out the fact that adults ages 21 and older get 2 free samples of Anheuser-Busch products at Grant's Farm in the beer garden. That's a pretty cool perk. Another free thing is the art museum. And again, the art museum is down by Forest Park, or in Forest Park, kind of near the Science Center and in the zoo. But the art museum is another amazing free attraction here in town. And as your kids get a little older, they'll probably appreciate it more than the younger kids. But it's just, if you want to give your kids more culture and that kind of stuff, the art museum is awesome. One of my favorite pros about living in St. Louis is the pro sports teams. So my family is a big sports family. All of our kids play sports, and we grow up just in a sports environment, and we love rooting for our sports teams here in St. Louis. And we've always got really competitive teams. My family is a big-time hockey family. Let's go Blues! We've got 2 boys that currently play AAA hockey here in town, and we travel the country, go all over the place with their hockey teams, and we absolutely love it. And we love our St. Louis Blues here in town. Blues just won the Cup in 2019, and that really saw a resurgence. I mean, there's always been, your diehard Blues fans and hockey fans here in town, but in 2019, when the Blues went on their Cup run and won the Stanley Cup, we really saw a lot more people kind of gravitate towards the sport, and it's super popular right now here in town. And the Blues have always been competitive over the years, so it's always a fun and a good time. Take your family down to the Blues game, or even just watch the Blues games on TV. So if you move to St. Louis, hopefully you adopt your Blues as your hometown team. And of course, there's the St. Louis Cardinals. You got to be a Cardinals fan if you're from St. Louis. It's kind of like a rite of passage. Like, everybody grows up, rooting for the Cardinals, going down to Busch Stadium, going to the Cardinals games and stuff. And the Cardinals they're one of the most historic franchises in Major League Baseball history. They've got 11 World Series as I'm videotaping this, and yeah, it's just an awesome, always competitive team, and just a fun fan base. You know, St. Louis likes to pride themselves on being, you know, the best fans in baseball. That's controversial around the country, I know, but you know, we kind of pride ourselves on our baseball knowledge here and just our fandom of the St. Louis Cardinals. So if you're coming into town, make sure you catch a game with your family. So sticking with the sports theme, another really great pro for families moving to St. Louis is the youth sports organizations and the youth sports scene here. We've got some fantastic, anywhere from, you know, baseball, basketball, football, hockey, volleyball, softball. I mean, you name it. Field hockey now, lacrosse is growing like crazy here. We really have an awesome competitive youth sports environment here in this town. And like I said before, like my family is a big youth sports family. You know, my kids growing up have all played multiple different sports. My boys kind of ended up gravitating towards hockey, to where that's all they do right now. But you know, they grew up playing baseball and soccer and hockey. My daughter is super into soccer right now. I say super into. She just had her first season, but she absolutely loves it and wants to play more and more. We've got some great gymnastics facilities around here as well, and you know, in dance facilities, you know, too. So just St. Louis is an awesome youth sports. Youth sports it's just a big part of the community and a part of the culture here as well. So if your kids are into sports, they're going to absolutely love it here in St. Louis. Another great pro about living in St. Louis is the food. We've got an awesome food culture and food atmosphere here. If you're a foodie, you will absolutely love living in St. Louis. We are one of the most underrated foodie towns in the Midwest and in the whole country, if you ask me. And we've got just some amazing and incredible locally owned restaurants and just restaurateurs here in town. I don't know about you, but I'm going to support a locally owned and family run restaurant 99 times out of 100. And if you're like that and you enjoy supporting locally owned businesses instead of, you know, the national chains, St. Louis is your place, because we've just got a ton of locally owned restaurants here that you can easily support in every neighborhood. Every neighborhood has fantastic different restaurants that just offer amazing food. And some of the things you're going to hear about, some of the food items you're going to hear about are Emo's Pizza, for one. Emo's Pizza is a big thing that us St. Louisans, we just love. So it's kind of mixed reviews, I'll be honest, you know, on the outsiders coming in, you know, people relocating like you. I've got some friends that have relocated here to St. Louis, and it's kind of a mixed review. Some people love it, you know, some people are like, it's okay, but I don't really, you know, see the big attraction about it. But for St. Louisans, we love our Emos. So don't ever talk trash about Emos unless you want to get into an argument with somebody from St. Louis. But really what Emos is, that their specialty is that it's like a super thin, like cracker thin crust. And they use a cheese called Provel. I think it's a mixture of provolone and mozzarella. I think that's the two combinations of cheese. But it's kind of like a tang, has a tang to it, a nice, you know, tang to it. So it's a different, unique taste. Then you add that with the super cracker thin crust. It's really good. I'm an Emo's fan myself, but again, born and raised here in St. Louis, so that's, you know, kind of par for the course. So another thing that's big to St. Louis is toasted raviolis, or as we like to call them, T-Ravs. All right, so it's basically it's ravioli, like your typical ravioli, but only breaded and then fried, and so they call it toasted raviolis. And it is super good. I've seen them like around the country, so you may have already had toasted ravioli, but they're super popular here. Like if you pretty much can't go to a restaurant here in town in St. Louis without seeing toasted ravioli as a appetizer option on there. So yeah, so T-Ravs and Emo's Pizza, and then Ted Drewes. If you're an ice cream fan, or actually I'm sorry, it's technically called frozen custard. If you're a frozen custard fan or ice cream fan, you gotta check out Ted Drewes and take the family to Ted Drewes. It is an icon. It's been around for decades, and it is it's unreal. It's an awesome ice cream place to go get ice cream with your family, and just, you know, frozen custard. But there is a big difference between ice cream and frozen custard at Ted Drewes it's the best. It's phenomenal. So make sure you hit Ted Drewes also when you come in town. Another pro about living in St. Louis, Missouri is that our traffic is not that bad. Like compared to other big cities where traffic is just constant gridlock all the time, traffic here in St. Louis really isn't bad at all. Of course, you've got, you know, your rush hour time in the morning between like, you know, 6:30 and 8:30 a.m. and then in the evening between like 4:30 and say 6, you know, where you're going to have, you know, more congestion on the highways, some of the main thoroughfares. But it's not that bad, and it's pretty consistent as far as like if you've got a job that's usually a half hour away in the morning. It's usually going to take you, about a half hour in the morning if, with that traffic and stuff, unless there's an accident or something like that. So, other bigger cities, like you can be in gridlock and it can take you, hours to get to work sometimes. And, here in St. Louis, it's really, the traffic is really, we're pretty lucky as far as how the traffic goes here. So especially if you're centrally located, I guess I'll just jump into another pro right now that I was going to get to, is that we're a very drivable city. And so especially if you're kind of centrally located in the county, you can really get to anywhere of any of the different attractions, other neighborhoods and stuff as well, within 15 minutes of each other. If you're more in the western part, southern part, northern part, it may take you, up to 45 minutes to get somewhere. But it's going to be, really anywhere in the central or anywhere in the St. Louis area. Everything's pretty much, it's going to be less than 40 hours. That's a long drive. 40 minutes is going to be about your longest drive that you're going to see, and that's going pretty far. That's going from South County where I am to Chesterfield, which is a pretty western part of the county. So yeah, as far as drivability and just traffic flow and everything, traffic is not bad here in St. Louis, and it's a very, very drivable city. And so now let's jump into a con. So since St. Louis is such a drivable city and it's very easy to get around with your car, on the flip side, if you're looking for a place in a city with public transportation, St. Louis is not your place. Our public transportation is pretty much non-existent. I mean, we've got buses. We've got a bus system called MetroLink or Metro, and then we also have a rail system called MetroLink. But it really only serves a small portion of the community. Especially if you're in South County, West County area, it's really non-existent as far as public transportation. You're driving everywhere. So if you don't have a car, if you're moving somewhere, from somewhere New York City, downtown, downtown Chicago, something like that, and you don't have a car, or you're just not used to driving, you don't like driving places, St. Louis is probably not the city for you. Or get yourself a car and get your butt to St. Louis, because you're going to be in your car if you're going to be going anywhere around town here in St. Louis. Another pro about living in St. Louis, Missouri is that it is a very centrally located city. I mean, obviously, if you look on a map, St. Louis is pretty much darn near smack dab in the middle of the United States. And there's a lot of great cities and attractions that are within a 4 to 5 hour car drive at the most. Short little road trip for weekend getaways. So Chicago's 4.5 hours away. Nashville's about 5 hours away. Memphis is about 4 hours away or so. Kansas City is about 4 hours away. So those are some great places, great weekend getaways. Then we've got the Lake of the Ozarks, which is about 3 hours away from the St. Louis area. So we've got some awesome weekend getaways that you can drive to within, like I said, less than 5 hours. And then if your family enjoys vacationing to the beach, to Florida, the Destin area is very popular for families around town. Same with Gulf Shores, Alabama. Both are going to be about a 12 to 13 hour drive from St. Louis to the beach down there. So so it's not too bad. I know I've got friends that live in Kansas City and friends that live in Colorado, friends that live in Chicago, and that's one of their biggest things is we've almost got to fly to the beach, because it's just, it's a much longer drive. With us, it's like I said, 12 hours, not too bad. You can knock that out as a family. But yeah, so our central location is great. And with our central location, if you do have to fly somewhere, flights are going to be pretty short. I mean, as far as if you're on a 3 to 4 hour flight, that's going to be about your longest flight. We got it's 45 minutes to Chicago, 45 minutes to Kansas City. I think it's 3 hours to Phoenix. So about 3.5 hours or so to Los Angeles. If you're going up the northwest, that's going to be your longer flights. But really not too bad at all. Since St. Louis is so central in the country, you're never going to have to take a super long flight, which is cool. Now, staying on the flight topic, one of the cons about living in St. Louis, Missouri, is that we don't have an airport that has a major hub of an airline in town. We used to, when TWA was in its heyday, before American bought them out, TWA used to have a hub here in St. Louis, and it was awesome. We had tons of direct flights all over the country. But we don't have a hub airport anymore, and so it can be difficult sometimes to find direct flights. You're going to have to find connecting flights, layovers, that kind of stuff. Hopping off of planes in one city and onto a plane, to get to your final destination. We do a ton of traveling with my son's hockey teams around the country, And whenever we have to fly to find the cheapest fare, we're always going to have a connecting flight usually. It's just kind of one of those things where it's just I've gotten used to it. It's not that big of a deal. But you can find direct flights. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they're non-existent or anything, but they're more uncommon, to find than connecting flights. So for this one, I wasn't sure if it was a pro or a con in living as far as living in St. Louis. And so it's the weather is the topic that I'm going to talk about now. So it depends really on who you ask and what your preference is. Like for me, I like the fact that we get all 4 seasons here. We have beautiful falls, the leaves change, and you get all the colors and all that cool stuff. And you get your pumpkin patches with your flannels on, and your cup of coffee and the kettle corn and all that good stuff. You get a really good fall season, and it's a lot of fun. And the spring, you get a lot of new fresh flowers blooming, and all the trees and everything, and it's a beautiful time of year. The temperature is great. There's not too much humidity in the spring and the fall. But then you get your summer and your winter, and the summers here in St. Louis, it can be pretty darn hot and humid. I'll be honest. It really doesn't bother me a ton. Like in the summer, when it's like super humid though, it's pretty annoying when you go outside just to get to your car and go somewhere and like you start sweating just by walking outside, because it's it can be in the 90s, super high humidity for a good stretch in the summer. But you know what? If you have a pool, if you're looking for a house with a pool, I can help you find that, or a neighborhood with a community pool. We've got tons of different community pools around here too. Our neighborhood pool. Keep that in mind as well when you're thinking about moving to St. Louis. You may want to find if you guys enjoy swimming and pools and stuff, either a house obviously with a pool, or a lot of neighborhoods have pools, or a community pool you can be a part of with your community wherever you guys decide to relocate and live. So as far as the winters go, winters can get pretty darn cold here as well. Not like super cold like Chicago and Minnesota cold, as far as like where every winter lakes freeze over. Like if it were up to my kids, like the lakes would freeze over. They wish their lakes would freeze over from November until March, so they can go and skate and play hockey all year round, or not all year round, but all winter long. But us normal people like you and me, we probably wouldn't like the super cold all winter long. We don't get that here. I mean, it gets cold, but it's kind of like you're going to put up with like a 2 to 3 week stretch where it's pretty darn cold, like in the 20s and teens for the highs. But as far as like staying cold for a super long time, where the lakes freeze over, where you can skate on them and stuff. Honestly, I've only had that happen a handful of times in my lifetime here. I've only skated on a pond, like 3 different times. And so usually the winters aren't cold enough for that to happen. But I mean, the normal high temperatures in the winters are in the 40s, I believe. And we do get some snowfall. So it's not a ton of snow. But we'll get a decent snowfall between like 5 to 8 inches or so pretty much every year. Every once in a while we'll get a 10 inch to 12 inch snowfall, which pretty much just like shuts the entire city down, and people lose their minds and forget how to drive and all that stuff. But for the most part, like our snowfalls are typically like around 2 to 4 inches. If we get a snowstorm coming through, it's like 2 to 4 inches. Anything over 4 inches is kind of a big deal. Kids get super excited and are going to be off school and all that stuff. I love snow. I love when the snow comes down and everything. I think it's beautiful. So I would miss not having snow if I lived somewhere like a Florida or California, where there just wasn't any snow. I like it. My kids we enjoy going sled riding and all that kind of fun stuff. And making the hot chocolate and the snowman and everything. I think snow's fun for families. But that's me. So if you don't like super cold winters, you may want to rethink moving to St. Louis as well. But if you can handle it and you actually kind of embrace it, the fact that we get all different seasons and it's something different 4 times a year, you're going to like it. You're going to love living here in St. Louis. Another great perk about living in St. Louis, Missouri, is that you kind of get the best of both worlds, as far as you get a small town feel, but you also have the perks and the benefits of being right by and within a big city. And so, as far as like small town feel, it's like our neighborhoods, we have tons of different pocket neighborhoods that are just like their own little, self-sustaining communities. Really, I mean, it kind of goes by like the school districts, like Kirkwood is an area that's great. You're going to hear about Webster Groves, South County, Oakville, Lindbergh, West County, Wildwood, Eureka, all these different areas around St. Louis are kind of like little pocket communities and neighborhoods, and each one of them provides its own unique, special, just community feel to it, which is awesome. I really enjoy that, as a family, love raising my family in a community type atmosphere like that. Now, a con about St. Louis is that there is not a whole lot to do downtown, I'll be honest. Like our downtown, it's really actually, it's like one of the biggest frustrations for people that live in St. Louis. It just seems like our downtown, our St. Louis City downtown area has never been able to get its act together. Like I remember when I was a kid, like, cities like Nashville were just, they were a lot smaller. There wasn't a ton of stuff to do, and it was a lot smaller city. And now, like over the last like 20 years or so, Nashville has just taken off, and like their downtown area is amazing, and like just bustling with the atmosphere and activity, and just tons of things to do. Really in St. Louis, like unless you're going downtown to watch a Blues game or a Cardinals game, or we've got the St. Louis City FC, our MLS pro soccer team that's going to be starting to play here in a couple of years. Unless you're going downtown really for one of those sporting events or a concert or something like that, some kind of event to go downtown to, there's really no need like to go downtown. I mean, like we've got the City Museum, which is awesome down there, and I'll probably do a video on that at some point. City Museum is fantastic for families. Awesome place for kids to just run crazy and go nuts. But as far as like doing activities downtown, like on the riverfront and stuff, there's the Arch. But outside of that, there's really not a whole lot of stuff to do downtown. It was funny. I was just actually had coffee with a friend of mine who used to work downtown, and he said that last summer he was walking somewhere for lunch, and like a family that looked like they were on vacation. He said they had the whole like minivan loaded up with stuff, and the guy pulls up next to him, at the stop sign, and rolls his window down, and he was like, "Hey, excuse me, where's all the stuff?" And my buddy was like, "What do you mean?" And the guy was like, like, where's all the stuff and like things to do? And my buddy said he was just like, "You're looking at it, man. This is pretty much it." I'm like, so if you go downtown during the week or even on the weekend, and there's not like a Cardinal game, not a Blues game, not like a major attraction or activity going on down there, it's like a ghost town. There's not many people down there. There's not much activity at all. Where compared to like a Chicago, where you can just go down any day of the week, anytime, pretty much, even like in the middle of the night. And downtown Chicago is bustling with activity. People are walking around, restaurants and bars are open, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a weird thing about St. Louis. But yeah, the downtown nightlife and just attractions and stuff, it's not great. The downtown atmosphere. So if you're looking for like just a fantastic like downtown awesome city to hang out and live in or anything, St. Louis is not your place. But the suburbs of St. Louis is awesome. I mean, we've got, like I said, we've got amazing neighborhoods and communities that are just fantastic for families. And so like I said, as a family guy, I don't really mind the fact that there's not a whole lot to do downtown. Like we go down and for the Blues games and Cardinals games, stuff like that. But I'm okay with the fact that like after the game's over, I'm not really hanging around down there and doing a whole lot. We're coming back and we're going to one of the local restaurants in our neighborhood and doing that as a family instead of hanging out downtown. So that's my gist, and that's my 2 cents on our downtown area. All right, so another big con about St. Louis, and it's probably the elephant in the room. You've probably had it on your mind because you've probably seen some stuff in the media, but it is the crime. And so yes, St. Louis City does have a lot of crime going on. And really, I guess, let me explain a little bit anyway about how St. Louis and the region is set up. So we've got St. Louis City and we've got St. Louis County. And the majority of the crime stats that you hear about on the news are from the city part of St. Louis. And if they just incorporated the city and the county area itself, then the crime per capita would drop significantly. And so a lot of cities where they get their crime data, they're taken from a much larger region than St. Louis is. Like if they took, like I said, the whole region of St. Louis and the St. Louis County and city combined, our stats would be tremendously improved and a lot better. Having said that, there is a lot of crime in like the North St. Louis, north of downtown, that kind of stuff. And honestly, that's probably one of the reasons like our downtown isn't that bustling and that great of a place to hang out and to be in. Just because like there's that stigma of crime. And crimes do happen down there. I know people that go to the City Museum with their kids and they come out and their cars are broken into, that kind of stuff, or things have been vandalized or whatever. Fortunately, I don't know friends or anybody that's had like, like violent crimes happen to them, but you do have the occasional car break-in and that kind of stuff in downtown. And so, in the county, it's much safer, a lot less crime. I mean, pretty much any city you're going to live in, there's going to be crime. So, but St. Louis gets a lot of headlines because of the whole fact that the city and county, like, they only get those stats from the city, and it's just unfortunate how St. Louis is set up, because it's always St. Louis City that gets the crime statistics out there. Again, not trying to deflect and say that crime isn't a thing, because it is. I mean, like, people here are very concerned about it, and it's bothersome. But it's bothersome in other, Chicago has bad parts, Detroit has bad parts, Nashville has bad parts. Every city has bad parts, but you just kind of know what areas to avoid for the most part, whenever you're living here in St. Louis. One huge pro as far as living in St. Louis, Missouri is the cost of living. St. Louis is an extremely affordable town, especially for families. And you got multiple kids, all those costs add up. And just one example is like gas prices. All right, so like I said before, my family and I, we travel all over the country with my boys in their youth hockey, AAA hockey programs and stuff. And so I see in a lot of the places we're driving to, and so I see gas prices all over the board and around the country. And our town, like Kansas City, is literally the only place that I found that had cheaper gas prices. Kansas City had gas prices about 20 cents cheaper than what we have them here. But like, right now, here in December of 2021, gas prices are around $2.97 a gallon. Where you go to Chicago, they're $3.85, $4.25. Obviously, California, we were out there over the summer. Took one of my boys out there for his high school graduation gift, and gas prices out in California were like around $5 a gallon. Upwards of $6 a gallon if you get premium fuel. And so I've actually got a buddy who lives in Toronto, and he said they're $6, $6 and up right now for gas prices per gallon. And so St. Louis is always cheaper. So like, we go to Chicago a lot, and it's always like, all right, we got to fill up, make sure we're totally filled up, because as soon as you cross the river, I mean, not just Chicago, like across the river, like 10 minutes away for where I live, gas prices are like 50 cents higher. Just crossing the river. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, so gas prices alone, St. Louis is super affordable compared to the rest of a lot of the country. As far as like groceries and things like that, I mean, it's pretty comparable. Like, one of the things that we do whenever we go to different cities, since we travel so much, is when we first get into town, I'll go to a grocery store like an Aldi or even like a Walmart, and just pick up some basic stuff. Pick up lunch meat and bread and that kind of stuff, because we'll make our own sandwiches, make some lunch and that kind of stuff, just to keep prices down. Because if I'm eating at a restaurant every single meal, it's gonna add up super quick. And like just different prices on things like that. St. Louis is very comparable. I think pretty much across the country, unless you're in like Hawaii, prices on that kind of stuff, milk and eggs and that kind of stuff are pretty much relative. Now, housing, let's get into some housing numbers right now. All right, so I wanted to jump in here and show you what it looks like for the median home prices in St. Louis County. And so right now, looking at a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, your median home price is going to be $207,000 in St. Louis County. And now if we jump up to, if you got maybe 3 kids or more and you need a little bit more space, or if you need a home office, something like that, 4 bedrooms or more, and 2-bath. So 4-bed or more, 2-bath, median home price is going to be $220,000 in St. Louis County. And if we jump up the bathrooms, just to show you how much of a difference that makes, that jumps up the price to $350,000 for a 4-bed or more, 3-bath home in St. Louis County. As far as a really good look at the cost of living, I'm going to do a separate video on the cost of living in St. Louis. So check my channel, actually subscribe to my channel so you can kind of get every update in every new video that I do. But look for that cost of living video in my channel, because that's going to be coming real soon if it's not already published and out. I don't want to fill up this entire video talking about all the different costs of living and housing and income and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to make a separate video on just the cost of living in St. Louis. So go and check that out. I'm going to keep creating different videos that show you all the different parts of St. Louis and what it actually feels like to live here. So I'm going to do different neighborhood tours and take you on rides through different neighborhoods and areas so that you can get a good feel for, you know, the vibe of different areas, different houses, and show you different price points and all that kind of stuff as far as what it would be like to live here in St. Louis with your family. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe and tap that little bell so you get notified every time I make a new video and you don't miss a thing, so you can learn everything that you can possibly learn about moving your family to St. Louis, Missouri before you make your move. Again, my name is Kevin Dewey. I'm a realtor here in St. Louis, and I specialize in helping families like yours relocate to St. Louis, Missouri. So if you have any questions about this video or just in relocating to St. Louis in general, or about different neighborhoods or whatever, any questions about St. Louis and moving your family here, feel free to reach out to me, shoot me a text, give me a call, drop me an email, whatever you want, however you want to communicate with me. I'm open to that, so check out the description below for different links to all the different ways that you can communicate and get in touch with me. I'm looking forward to talking to you and possibly helping your family move here to St. Louis.